So today, I have a special guest. It's someone that I worked with pre-pandemic, and we still very much keep in touch. And that is my dear friend, Mary A. Mary, want to join us?
Hey.
Hey, how are you?
I am fantastic.
Excellent.
Maybe fantastic for tonight.
What is the name of your person? Going with the fin pun.
So I appreciate you inviting me tonight. My person tonight is Sylvia Earle, better known as Her Deepness, or perhaps the Sturgeon General.
Very nice. So for audience members, Sylvia Earle is a marine biologist, and she has been studying marine life and working to protect marine life since the 1960s.
Yeah.
If anybody watches nature shows on Netflix, I believe she is on a program called Seaspiracy that is on Netflix. She basically has done it all. Correct me if I'm wrong. She right now works for the National Mary, please say it for me. National Oceanographic.
Yeah, so NOAA, the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration.
Yes.
Yeah, so she served 4 years as the very first chief officer of NOAA back in the early 90s for 4 years, and has maintained that, well, not the designation, but definitely an advisor. So she's considered one of like the ocean elders. So if you think about like, well, some of these are past folks, but like Jacques Cousteau and Rachel Carson and Eugenia, the shark lady. I'm gonna trip up on her name, but some of those like really frontier folk in recognizing that the oceans are really that final frontier. So as we were landing on the moon in 1969 and all those trips to space, Sylvia Earle was really leading the charge to exploring our underwater environment. So as far as like making submersible human spacesuits that could go underwater, and hers was called the Jim suit, so it was JIM. So fantastic. Like, this woman is not only dedicated to marine life, but she is a genius in engineering and advocacy. She's just so awesome.
Yeah, she, if I'm not mistaken, holds the world record for female suit dive, 1,250 feet. She still holds that record. Nobody
she still holds that.
Yes.
No.
Yeah. No?
No, it's amazing. No one holds that record. Like, that's my bucket list. I would love to dive down in a submersible and go to see like what's happening in the Mariana Trench with all these like glow in the dark animals and plants just hanging out in the abyss. That would be so awesome.
And if I'm not mistaken, she did this without a submersible. She did this just in her suit. And so people understand, watching 1,250 feet in the ocean, you're starting to see things that people try to put in nightmares. It's a little scary. It's a little scary down there, but it's wonderful and amazing. All right, so Barry, I understand that you've never done DnD before.
Nope.
Okay.
DnD virgin.
I'm really bad at DnD, so this is going to be perfect. Because you won't know if I'm doing anything anything wrong.
Nope.
All right. So when you are creating a character, they have a race, which you can think of as a species. They have a class, which basically relates to, are they a defender, a protector? Are they magic? Are they, you know, somebody that has a sword or something like that? So we're going to start with her race. You have a turtle-like species. You have the Triton, who are completely amphibious. You have the Vulcan, who are half amphibious. You have metal beings, and you have a kind of snake essence type of being.
Okay. All right. Triton almost seems too obvious for Sylvia Earle, right? You know, she is like, well, I already called her Her Deepness. And that's not my name for her. I think that's a global title.
So long established guardians of the deep ocean.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, for sure.
So I thought of that, but I did not want to tell you I had thought of that. I wanted to go through this. I was just like, let's let Mary choose. This is your first time. I'm not going to interfere with that.
No. Yeah. Well, you know, I remember several times we had some twin minds.
we really do.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. We won't talk about that. Children may be watching.
Not this episode.
All right. So with Sylvia, she's got an adventurous spirit. So she does like to explore. But she's a protector. So with class, you could do one or you could do multiple. So she can be protector as well as explorer, or she could just be a straight protector, straight defender, or a straight wanderer, explorer.
You know, if I am picking Sylvia Earle of today, she is like hardcore protector.
Okay, so with the protector, it could be a straightforward protector, weapons and things like that, or there could be a magical, like a spell casting side to them.
Her first assignment was in phytology, so like the seaweeds and the algae and the plants.
Okay, yeah.
And that was something I found really interesting about her, because in my own undergrad, it was one of those like required courses. You had to do some like botany. So taking aquatic botany was like to me. So that is one of like a million reasons I am super attracted to Sylvia Earle. So like that botanical side of her. So she's super smart, knowing on that like producer side of things for the oceans, how that helps is really kind of interesting. So I feel she's a magical protector.
All right. So I don't want to overwhelm you, but those are three good ones: ranger, monk, or paladin.
Yeah, like I'm gravitating toward ranger and paladin, like that on the edge of civilization, but that paladin, like I feel like Sylvia Earle has heard that like greater cause than herself, like making decisions for the greater good. And saying it's not just us, it's all of us. Kind of sounds more paladin.
Okay. Well, right? As I said, you could do one or you could do multiple.
Oh.
So we can't combine the Paladin Ranger classes.
Okay. Well, I'm phoning a friend, Ragan. What do you think? What like what's the advantage of like combining forces at this stage of like making sure a D&D character,
So some people like to combine aspects of two different classes because for example, one of my friends, their character is a rogue, which are kind of like your spies. They're very sneaky. But she also wanted something that had spells and magic. So she combined her rogue and introduced sorcerer to that. With the Paladin and Ranger, while they can be combined, I would not. Because Paladins are typically built like tanks, while a Ranger, you would typically have that as somebody who's not cumbered down with like heavy chainmail.
Okay, gotcha. That's an interesting description of those two, because I feel more drawn to the Paladin, like the protector of the ocean, but like yeah. But let's see where this goes. Paladin.
Paladin, all right. And that's the great thing about D&D is that it's what you want it to be. All right, it's a fantasy. It's a fantasy game. So whatever your imagination wants to create, that is what you can do. And that's the cool thing about it. The other cool thing about why I like D&D so much is that it relies not just on the skill of the player, but also luck. You could be very skilled at something, but if your dice roll is low, you failed. And so it brings in, and so you could be playing a campaign for a few weeks or a few years. So it's a ton of fun. All right, so we've chosen Paladin and it's a level 10. So now you get to choose, who has she sworn her oath to? Is it an oath of glory, conquest, devotion, redemption, vengeance, oath of the agents, oath of the crown, or oath of the watchers?
Ooh. Oh man, I feel like this is a whole nother episode. How long has this planet been in existence? The minute you said oath of the ancients, I was like, oh yeah, like we're talking like how many millions of years of like data is just sitting at the bottom of the ocean. Like that is what she has been curious about and advocating about and defending about, for 50 years. So like oath of the ancients,
all right,
like just got me right away.
All right, and that's a fantastic, because you went with your gut on that one. You're just like, gut check, yes. All right, so these are the spells that she automatically gets: ensnaring strike, speak with animals, misty step, moonbeam, plant growth, and protection from energy. In addition, she gets 5 more spells. So I'm not going to read out all these spells. I will just move the cursor, and whatever speaks to you where you're just like, yes, that's what we're going with. All right, and you get 5.
These are the extra spells.
Yes.
Okay. Cure wounds. Like she's out to heal the planet.
All right.
Let's see. Oh, detecting poison and disease. 100%. She's on top of like ocean acidification. That is like her number one. We are polluting. Oh, purifying food and drink is interesting. She is a vegetarian. I cannot say vegan, but she has spoken very vocally about the toxins that are in our meat products, whether it is land-based or sea-based. She's definitely spoken about that. How many more do I have?
You have two more. She described commercial fishing of the oceans like using a bulldozer to kill a bird. Because she says that they basically come through and they just suck up whatever's there. And if something gets damaged or pulled in that isn't supposed to get pulled in. And again, everybody has to make their own choices about how they live their lives. For me personally, and I can't speak for you, but you might agree with this, when you are picking your food choice, pick the food choice that causes the least amount of harm.
100%. Yep. 100%. That is very, very true. Yeah, and if we've got someone like Sylvia Earle in our DnD taking care of that for us, all better.
Yep.
For sure. Oh my gosh. So we've got, let's see, we scrolled down to the what is lesser restoration? That is curious.
So if I remember this correctly, yes. Okay, so you could touch a creature and either end a disease or a condition. So you could basically help one of your teammates out.
Well, that is a nice one. I'm not sure that's the one I want.
Okay.
But
we still have some more.
Okay.
So let me know if you want me to scroll.
Let's see. I feel like protection from poison, where that might be an interesting one to explore. I am sure, being a female in a science field back half century ago, she was put up against a lot of resistance from, her male counterparts, and having some of that protection would have been nice to, kind of plow through some of those barriers that, anyone in, a minority situation feels that they need that sort of protection for. That is an interesting one to look at. Now, current Sylvia Earle, I think she doesn't need that so much.
Okay.
Oh, plant growth. That's interesting.
We already have. We already got that one.
Growth, yep. Right. Oh, always prepared.
Yep.
Good.
And then this is this is now the end of your list.
Okay. This is super interesting because I'm also noticing that there's different symbols that look like choosing some different symbols makes your character a little bit more diversified. And correct me if I'm wrong, I'm reading into this, like a diversified character can make you more appealing to either other D&D characters or make your longevity in the game longer.
Yeah. So typically when you're creating a character, it's a little bit lower level than what I'm choosing. I'm at a level 10.
Okay.
When you are playing, you're playing with a team. You try not to all have the same type of character. And I will tell you, that happens with my group all the freaking time, where we wind up all choosing a very similar character. And then you wind up getting in trouble. people who have watched my show from the beginning know that I lost a character that was very near and dear to me because I made a mistake, but also because we were all pretty much the same. So we got our butts kicked. But yeah, you want to pick and choose things that are useful for the group or useful just strictly for you.
Gotcha. Okay. So how many more do I have to pick?
One more.
This gets challenging.
Yeah. So help you out.
I like the revivify. Like,
right, you could bring a creature.
If I go, I can come back.
Yep.
That seems like an easy one. Yes.
So for this next part, we go into her description, her backstory.
Okay.
So we're going to go into her backstory with this one. And so this one, there's a lot, as you can see here. So there's a couple of things that you could choose here. She could be a soldier, a sailor, a knight, a folk hero, a far traveler,
yeah, I'll tell you, Ragan, when you dropped down the options, my eyes went to folk hero. And perhaps it's because there's a lot of a lot of lore about the oceans that scientists have relied on to help them root their findings in facts. And Sylvia Earle, I feel, is one of those folks who would easily be considered a folk hero here in our DnD and in the earthly world.
Yes, exactly. Now for her, she gets a tool. I gave her cartographer's tools because she is, I felt that works best for her. So now you're going to choose her personality traits, her ideals, her bonds, and then a flaw. So with the personality traits, you get to choose 2 from 1 through 8.
Gotcha. All right, let me take a peek here.
All
right, after reading just 1 through 3, I already have 2, but let me keep reading. Oh, this is a good assessment in also personal reflection.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to stick, you said go with your gut a little bit earlier. Instantly when I read, I judge people by their actions, not by their words, number 1.
All right.
And when I set my mind to something, I follow through no matter what gets in my way, number 3. Yeah, Sylvia Earle has been breaking barriers since she could get underwater, probably before that.
Yeah, the 1960s, science is a very male-dominated field, and in the 1960s, it would have been even more so. She had a lot of fight to put in there to become a respected member of a team. I think that sometimes people either forget that or they think that doesn't still exist. And unfortunately, it very much still exists today.
100%.
Yeah.
And we can edit this out, but the shameless plug for, if she can, I'll have to look it up. Maybe we can put it in the notes, but the whole female STEM push about if she then we type of a thing, we need more female role models of all types in the STEM field to encourage the future generations.
Right. And the problematic thing, and then we'll get back. This is just my little itty bitty soapbox. There are a good number of non-white male members of the science field.
Yep.
It just doesn't match what our demographics are in this country. And they're also not highlighted as much as they should be.
No, unless you dig for them on social media, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 100% true.
So for ideals, you get to choose one from these 6 choices.
All right. I have to put my own self aside.
Okay. Where is that one?
Let me see.
Oh.
I think sincerity. Like,
okay.
Yes, that is something I have heard in, whether, hearing Sylvia in person or elsewhere, just being herself.
Yeah. All right. And then you get to choose one for bonds and one for flaws.
All right. Bonds. So this is a tricky one. So I'm gravitating towards 2, Ragan. So I work the land. I love the land. I protect the land. Sylvia is like consistently, she's been in the ocean. She recognizes the ocean. She, will live and die to protect the ocean. But the ocean is also an entity that cannot protect itself. So like that draw between 2 and 5 in the bonds is super interesting. And as I've talked it out in the last 20 seconds, it seems like that I protect those who cannot protect themselves kind of speaks out a little bit more, but I can be persuaded otherwise.
We're going to pick both of them because we don't have a DM to answer to. So we're just going to pick 2 of them.
Okay. I like that. All right. And I don't want to pick 2 flaws. I mean, we all have them, whether they're one or abundant, right?
Yeah.
Oh, these are so interesting.
Yeah. So with number 1, it could be not someone trying to have you killed or something like that, but it could be people disputing her science, because that is happening a lot, where there's all this scientific evidence proving we are in trouble, but people want to deny that.
Yeah. I was looking at 1 and 6, I have not heard of her trusting her allies, but I definitely read number 1, the tyrant who rules my land will stop at nothing to see me killed. Definitely sounds like that struggle of protecting the aquatic resources that Sylvia is so passionate about. So that seems like that one flaw reads loud and clear there.
All right. So that is what we're going to choose.
Okay.
Now, typically we'd go to equipment, but we're not going to choose equipment right now. All right. And so we're just going to look at her sheet. Okay, there we go, computer. Yay.
All right.
All right. So armor class talks about how difficult is it for an enemy to get a shot against you. The higher the armor class, the more difficult it is to knock you on your tail. Initiative is what you roll to see in which order you go in a fight. All right. So the higher it is, that means that you go first. The lower it is, that means you go last. Because she is a protector, a defender, a paladin, you would typically, they would typically be your frontline people.
Okay.
All right. So with this, what we're looking at is that she's got some good things here. She's got an unarmed attack, so she can hit and all that other great stuff. She's got a nice high modifier in athletics. Persuasion, that's 6 right there. So if she's trying to sweet talk somebody into something, she'll make that roll and then she gets to add 6 to that.
All right.
All right. Let's see here. Her channel divinity. I'm going to move us over here a little bit. We've got nature's wrath. You could cause spectral vines to spring up and reach for creatures within 10 feet. Turn of the faithless. You present your holy symbol, and each fae or fiend within 30 feet of you can hear you make a wisdom saving throw. Oh, you that can hear you must make a wisdom saving throw of 15 or higher. If they fail that, then they're turned for 1 minute. So that's about 10 rounds of play.
Okay.
Lay hands on pool. You have a pool of healing power that can restore 50 hit points per long rest. So you can restore somebody by using this. So you can pick and choose how much. And your hit points are these bad boys right up here. So when you're hit, like the word says hit point, or like the phrase says hit points, as you're hit, you start losing those points. If you get down to 0, you are unconscious and you get 3 chances to regain consciousness, or one of your one of your teammates has to bring you back. You can detect good and evil. You can punch, kick, headbutt. Yeah. And divine smite. When you hit with a weapon attack, you can expend 1 spell slot to deal 2d8. So that's an extra amount of damage to that character. And
so that's like, against 1 character, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you get 2 attacks per action. So you get to hit twice.
I like that.
Yeah. All right. So this is pretty good. Once we add in things like armor and weaponry and stuff like that, she'll be a lot cooler. But right here is your very first D&D character that you have created. Yeah.
That's amazing. Amazing for all the talk I heard amongst coworkers and coworkers excited about new D&D accoutrement. I think that and obviously everybody's reference, if they've not played D&D, is Stranger Things, right? I think
they either talk about Stranger Things, or they talk about how in the 80s there was talk about making it so that kids can no longer play D&D because there was that thought that it was corrupting children.
Mm-hmm. Yes. In like a terrible satanic way, right? But also like the coolest die are part of D&D, right? Dodecahedrons?
Yes. Yes, the 20-sided die.
All right. So I walked into this maybe knowing like more than I thought I knew. But now I think I know a little bit more.
Yes,
thanks to you, Ragan.
Well, thank you for joining me for this. And next time I see you, I'm going to print out your character sheet so that you can have your character sheet for your very own Sylvia Earle.
Awesome.
All right. So thank you, Mary, for joining us. Audience, thank you for joining us. And we will see you next week to talk a little bit more about history, math, science, and a little bit more about D&D. Thanks so much, everybody. Thank you for joining us on another episode of So You Want to Lead a Party. Please click the subscribe button, the like button, and don't forget to ring the bell. And if you enjoyed this week's episode, check out last week's video or the YouTube suggested videos.